First thing I'm going to do when I'm putting things into this case is, before I put in the motherboard, I have to put in these spacers right here. These guys right here. These are the 9 screws that are also going to be going along inside. Beforehand, I marked each hole with a little black Sharpie mark, if you can see that. Alright, what I'm just going to do is put in all these spacers quick. Now that I have all 9 of these guys in here, grab the motherboard here. Grab just sitting here. And the easiest way to tell which way these goes in is you look for this here, and that's how you set it in. It's the only place that can go towards the back of the case over here. Otherwise, things just aren't going to fit. And now you can see that there's a little aluminum plate in the back there that will basically hug all the connectors back there. You pop that back in there, and then you line up your holes, which will probably just take to push back towards the case. And we'll just push from the back of the case here, hold it in with one finger, and put one of the screws in. Keep it from sliding out of place again. Alright, this is where my last video left off. Got my coffee. Here we go. Okay, so instead of starting over from scratch, I'm just going to work my way backwards. I'm going to start off by showing you what's all inside the case. When we last left off, we were at just putting in the motherboard. As you can see, I've gotten a lot done since then. I'll try to get some better lighting in here. Now, in my other video, before I'd lost the data, I left off saying that I was going to put in these cables down here, and that they're quite tedious. These ones actually weren't as bad as I remember, but that's because on this one here, I actually went through and I put some electrical tape on them because the pins would go on one by one, and it got to be quite difficult to do that by hand, even with your bare hands. So I've learned to use like a modified needle nose plier that I have. I've also put in 80 gig Seagate hard drive. It's the Barracuda model. I have a DVD burner and a DVD-ROM up top here, and 1 gig of Mushkin DDR RAM, the ATI All-in-Wonder video card, and my motherboard is an Asus K8V SE Deluxe. I was trying to find the user's manual online for this, and I never did find it. Their website, I learned, was a little bit difficult to actually look up specifically for the user's manual. So I ended up digging around my room and found my user's manual that came with it, which I seem to have lost again. Surprise, surprise. Anyway, I also slapped on this fan up here and the 2 back here. Now, to boot this sucker, I'm just going to press on the front up here. Front display, which is controlled by down here. Anyway, here we got Windows running. I'm going to have to do some driver updates. We got the computer complaining that it might be at risk for viruses. That's probably because it's Windows. Yeah, that would probably do it. Okay, so I'm just going to do a reinstall of Windows. Be the easiest way. I'm going to try get you up close enough here so you can actually see something. Turn this light off and get it out of the way so you can kind of sort of read what's going on here. Right now I'm just in the boot properties. I'm going to change that to make the CD drive before the hard drive so I can boot off of the system disk that I have in the top drive. So I just exit and save. Now this is going to take a little bit, and for the sake of saving hard drive space, I'm just going to cut the video out until I hit the next prompt. The problem with booting to CD is you have to wait for the prompt during the boot process. Now when you're watching, you have to wait for a little short moment when it says hit any key to boot from CD. It goes by quickly, so you have to watch it like a hawk, otherwise it's going to slip by, and you're just going to try boot the operating system that's currently on the hard drive. I learned this the hard way, so let's try and catch it this time. Alright, so back to the monitor. Power up. Luckily it's any key and not a specific key. That would make things more difficult. Kind of like the first one that lets you get to the setup menu. That one's delete. Had to watch that one like a hawk. That one actually took me more than one boot to catch. Because it goes by so quickly, it's hard to time it right sometimes. And mostly because it's right during there was the boot from CD prompt, but the delete one goes by so quickly that you don't have time to catch it unless you're sitting waiting for it, unless you got some pretty awesome reflexes. But alright, so here we're already booting into the setup, and this is probably going to take a little while, so I'm just going to let the video cut out for a bit, and we'll come back to it as soon as we get a prompt. One thing I failed to mention during that loading session there was if you want to set up a RAID configuration, that's the time to do it. That's the time to do the software portion of it. Here we're at the setup screen if we want to do a recovery or a new installation, and I want to do a new, so I hit enter at this prompt. And now I get to sit and wait some more.